Here we are, Venus stations retrograde in Scorpio on the 5th of October, tomorrow. I'm recording this right at the Venus station. And the moon is currently in Leo, the sun is in Libra, but Venus will station retrograde tomorrow, October 5th, until November 16th, when she stations direct in Libra. Excuse me if I'm blinking too much, I've been staring at the computer all day and I'm seeing all fuzzy right now, so I can't even see myself. She will be retrograde for a period of 40 days, is in retrograde phase. She has her direct shadow and the final shadow, as with any retrograde. And Venus retrogrades have a very significant, rather create a very significant pattern in the sky. It's a 5-pointed star, so you can Google Venus synodic cycle and you'll get more information on that. But Venus will station retrograde every 18 months, and she will retrograde in the same part of the sky about every 8.2 years. So as she does this, she creates a 5-pointed star in the sky with all of her retrogrades. And given this very symmetrical pattern, we can trace personal and collective histories with this transit. On a collective level, Venus retrogrades are often a time when there are scandals involving women in the news, and we're already seeing this in the news right now. But even on a personal level, Venus being the woman or the feminine principle, Venus also rules our heart and relationships. It's the planet, she's the planet of beauty, love, our values, our possessions. What we value, that's the core of it really. How we value others, who we value, why we value them, what we value, and most importantly, how you value yourself. Because how we value ourselves is what attracts the relationships and people into our lives. If it's a matter of self-worth. And as Venus stations retrograde, now she's going to be retrograde in Scorpio. So this is not for the faint-hearted, and this could be heart-wrenching or bittersweet at best. But with astrology, we can't change what's going to happen, or we can to a certain extent, but really we can only change ourselves. But with awareness, astrology really helps us to just have awareness of what's going on so we can flow with it. Retrogrades are always a journey into the underworld, exploring the mysteries of the heart, and the transit is asking us to dive deep. There will be stuff coming up. Pay attention to what comes up around the retrograde station. So in the days leading up to the retrograde as well as the days following, there's information and there's things arising now. Maybe you're awakening to desires you have, or something happening where you could be having a change of heart, or causing you to reevaluate your involvements and commitments and your financial involvements, personal involvements, as well as any sexual relationships. Scorpio is the sign where we merge energy on the deepest level with others. It's a sign that rules sex, death, metamorphosis. It rules other people's money, where Taurus rules your money. Scorpio rules other people's money. So when we come together in terms of business partnerships or marriage or inheritances, with this retrograde now going through Scorpio and Libra, and both of these signs, Scorpio and Libra, are relate with our relationships. Libra is more our social connections, whereas Scorpio is where those ties go deeper. And at its core, really, Scorpio is about power. So it's important now that you consciously disengage from power struggles, if there are any power struggles arising. And this is a chance to reclaim your power in situations where the scales of power have been imbalanced. It comes back to your values, who and what you value, how you value yourself, as I mentioned. But the point is that this energy can be very obsessive, and Scorpio deals with our most deepest attachments, our attachments to the material world, to our relationships, to our commitments, to money, to even life, because Scorpio deals with death. But what is that? That's the fear of the unknown. And we're being asked to let go now. Let go because things are changing. Through this whole period, as Venus is retrograde, this is a process of reevaluation, of shedding skin, of metamorphosis, of going deeper under the surface of your relationships to find out what attracts you to them, what keeps you hooked into a situation, especially if a situation is something that drains you, whether emotionally or financially. Your addictions, Scorpio rules addictions. So Scorpio also deals with issues of abuse and trauma. So especially if you have a history of that and you need help, then now would be a good time to seek the help that you need, because you can find it and you can begin a process of healing. Venus retrogrades on a personal level are a time when exes and old relationships will come back into your life, old lovers. And I would suggest a retrograde, it's always a time to find closure on the past and put the past to bed rather than reignite it, because there's a reason it was in your past for a reason. And this is not to say that you can do whatever you want, but recognize that when things that happen during a Venus retrograde don't always stick, or they will at least change form once Venus is direct. So you don't have to be afraid of losing anything or anyone you care about, but recognize, you may feel differently. You may not want what you thought you wanted. So rather than focus on someone else or another relationship, go deeper inward and ask yourself, what is it that you really, really want? What are your true desires? And then don't be attached to the form that it comes in. Venus really is about love. So when it comes to relationships, yes, sexual intimacy is important, and we want security, and we want all of these things. But at the core of it, if there isn't love, everything else fades away. So this is about you going deeper into your own heart to find what draws you to someone or something, and to recognize that, okay, you can have what you want, you can have the sexual intimacy you want, you can have the financial security you want, you can draw into your world the kind of relationships that you want. But first you have to value yourself. And Venus is the attractive principle, so you don't really have to do anything. It's more about recognizing your own power. And the more you can love yourself and internalize this energy, you can draw what you want to you. Scorpio is very magnetic energy. So with Venus going retrograde, it's whether consciously or unconsciously, you are attracting your experiences in your life, and you're attracting the relationships that you have right now. And they're all teaching you something. So there's value in everything. But the question is, where do you want to go deeper? And you don't have to learn through pain. You can learn through pleasure. But the point is to not be attached to either the pleasure or the pain. When it comes to existing relationships, you can definitely deepen your connections and bonds with others, financially as well as emotionally and sexually. But it will require you to really allow yourself to be vulnerable and drop the mask and be willing to share your soul with someone. And yes, this involves building a level of trust. So if you're not sure of something, move slowly. In the chart for this Venus retrograde, Venus will be in a square to Mars, and Mars is now in the final days of his shadow in Aquarius. Since mid-May, Mars has been retrograde. Well, Mars entered shadow mid-May and then was retrograde starting the end of June until the end of August. And now is clearing his final shadow. So this has shaken a lot of old structures and old dynamics and thrown things up in the air. So now is Venus squares Mars, something that you thought was done and over with, you're learning it isn't. And something that you perhaps, you realize that you have to put something, if you want to start there are new opportunities arising, but if you want to start move ahead and enter take on these new opportunities, whether they're financial, creative, or personal relationships, there's a part of your past that needs to be resolved and left behind so that you can truly move forward. So the next 40 days are really a reshuffling. Things are in flux, things are changing. Don't be too quick to judge a situation. There's a lot more that's coming to the surface, and this rabbit hole goes deep. So if you have hesitation about something, then trust your instincts, because Scorpio is a very intuitive sign. Listen to your heart and trust your instincts. But be conscious now that you're not projecting the past onto the present. Again, this retrograde is a time of introspection. So this is about you examining your values surrounding love and money and sex. So if there's something or someone that you want, or let's say there's something or someone that you're in a power struggle with, recognize the root of that power struggle likely has something to do in the past. So it would be helpful. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. I don't think I did. But as Venus does her retrograde, as I mentioned earlier, she returns to a point in the sky every 8 years. So it would be very helpful for you to look back to what was going on for you 8 years ago. So that it would be helpful to look back to what was going on for you the last times that Venus was retrograde in this part of the chart. Depending on your age, go back every 8 years or so. 8 years. So that would be, we're in 2018, so look back to 2010, 2002. 8 years before that, 1994. 8 years before that would be 1986, and then before that, 78. Of course, depending on how old you are and so forth. But if you look back to 8-year intervals, that's when Venus was retrograde in this part of the sky. And you're going to see recurring themes as the days and weeks progress. And it'll give you a clue into the themes that you're dealing with. So the question now is, how have you evolved? How have you grown? What are the cycles and patterns that you want to leave behind? You can end a destructive cycle, but Scorpio is a reminder that you can't control anyone else. So whether it comes to love or money, whatever it is that you're dealing with right now, or just relationships, you can't control anyone else. You can't control anything outside of you. We can barely control ourselves. This is really about surrendering to the universe. So you're not giving up, but you're surrendering to a greater universe that wants the best for you. And you're working with the forces of the universe. So this Venus is not causing anything. Venus stationing retrograde is not causing anything. She's reflecting a process that's already underway within us, because we're as much a part of the universe as Venus is, and we're one. The universe is one organism, just like your heart is not separate from your toe, or it is, but it isn't. So similarly, Venus in the sky is not separate from the Venus or the love within you. And she's just reflecting a collective and personal process that we're all experiencing on some level in some area of our life. And of course, look to the parts of your chart represented by Scorpio and Libra. So these are very deep ties, and this is about your empowerment to create and attract what you want into your life. And that will come from your ability to be detached from outcomes. So stay detached, be fluid, recognize things are changing. And with Scorpio, the key really always is detachment. And especially right now with Venus in a square to Mars, the passions are flaring. There is unexpected attractions taking place. And we're having to navigate this territory. And sure, there are sexual attractions as well, and these are very magnetic and hypnotic attractions. If not to people, then to things and experiences. Sorry, the sun is out now. But what you're learning now is something about yourself. You're learning a truth about yourself, your own heart, and your own values. And now it's important that you not compromise those values and dive deep for yours. Venus will re-enter Libra. I'll actually add a thing below with Venus's dates, so you can refer to that later. But once Venus re-enters Libra, that's on the 31st of October, things get a lot easier. Venus in Libra is a much easier transit because she's at home in Libra, so that's her home sign. It's a much easier transit than in Scorpio. But there is a shift in the energy, so there's a sense of having respite from everything that you've been dealing with the Venus in Scorpio, but there's also and being able to maybe breathe easier at best. But if at all it means that you have to let go of something or someone or walk away from something that's taking too much out of you, trust that you need not fear, you need not cling, just don't cling. Trust that anything that or anyone that's right for you will meet you further down the road when the scales are more balanced. But you have to trust that. And if not, you have to be, and that's the thing, it's unknown. So there are no guarantees in a sense. But you have to have that faith in yourself that ultimately we're born alone and we die alone. We all need each other, and especially right now we're learning how intertwined and interdependent we are on each other and how enmeshed our hearts are with each other's. So you have to trust that if the love is real and if your connection with someone is real, then it will transcend time and space and you will meet again. And if not, then you have to trust that the love does not change. What matters is how you honor and cherish the love that you feel, whether or not it's reciprocated. And that means valuing what you have and what you have to share, whether it's emotional, financial, creative. Unless you value what you're giving or you have to give, why would anybody else? So dive deeper into your values, move past, especially in Libra, move past social niceties and social pleasantries, and you can get to the heart of the truth. And get to the truth in your heart, really. Because when you have clarity there, then it's easier for you to make choices. And Libra represents choices, and we will have choices to make. We are reevaluating situations. So be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others. Don't be afraid to open and share your heart. Just know that life is transient, and even in the best of relationships and situations, things change. Change is the only constant. Relationships change. Even if you love someone, people die. And I'm not saying anyone's dying right now, but that's a part of life. Death is a part of life. And the only thing that is real and outlasts death is love. So be willing to share your love. Just don't hold on to expectations. And when you give freely or don't give. That's okay too. It's better to give from the heart than not, or rather, it's better not to give than if you're giving with reservations, because that's ultimately going to poison your relationship and build resentment one way or the other. So avoid trying to please others, especially when Venus is in Libra. Deepen your relationship with yourself, and you can attract the right relationships to you. And then once Venus is direct, Libra is a very creative sign. Venus is at home. And she will be now retracing her steps for the third time. And a lot will have changed by then. Jupiter will be in Sagittarius and Mars will have just entered Pisces at that time. So a lot will be changing at the time. But if you remember the lessons you've learned, you can create something new. You can move forward and make conscious, creative choices, loving choices that work for you as well as everything and everyone that you care about. And then you can watch your life blossom and unfold. One last thing, in my experience, and I'm a Taurus, so I'm Venus ruled. But in my experience, the last few days of a Venus retrograde, last 3 days, are generally the most precarious. And I say precarious because Venus is, as she's going retrograde, this is her fall in a sense. It's her descent before she starts rising again. So those last 3 days are the most precarious in terms of losing your balance in situations. So I'm not saying be paranoid, but I'm saying be careful, be conscious, be conscious of what's unfolding. Don't overreact to situations and move slowly. Nothing is urgent, and with time, this too shall pass. So move slowly. It will require a delicate balance, especially towards the end. And even if you fall, and if there's a sense of falling from grace, remember it's about how we pick ourselves up. So you have something to learn, and this transit is teaching you something very important about yourself and your heart. And with that, you can be empowered to create and attract into your world what aligns with an inner truth and your values, and then draw into your life everything that you most desire. And of course, one of the big lessons here is, yes, life is transient, but that doesn't mean we don't love anyone. We just cherish and love them deeply in the present and let go of attachment. But also that ultimately only you can make yourself happy. No one else can do that for you. And even happiness is an emotion. What we're looking for is a sense of peace and equilibrium within ourselves that we can return to and recognize that our emotions are our own and no one is responsible for them. So when we're studying astrology especially, it's about owning your chart and owning all your experiences. So no matter how somebody else is behaving, you don't have to behave that way. Just because someone behaves like an ass, you don't have to behave that way. There's many other ways to respond. And sure, you can if you want. There's no right or wrong. But that's the thing. It's like, how do you want to be? Who are you? You're an eternal being. You're an eternal, infinite being. But how do you want to be in this world? What will matter after you're gone? And what will people love and remember about you? All right, so that's what I want to say to you. I'm going to try and do a quick run through of the 12 signs, but I'm going to get this out first so that you have this to look at, and I'll be back with you again soon. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe and share the videos. I need at least 1,000 subscribers, so help me guys. And of course, I am available for consultations, and I'm doing Venus special readings for this retrograde to see if you want more insight into how this is playing out for you in your chart in life. So email me at priya@cosmicdiaries.com, and the Venus readings are $108 for 60 minutes. And email me and we'll schedule a time to talk and we'll get on Skype. But thank you for watching, and I'll be back with you soon. Lots of love. Ta-da for now.